Well, hello there, community. I didn't really get that out. It said, well, hello there, community. Again, like blended all that together. Thank you for joining me today. We are going to do some fun stuff today. And this is we're going to learn together. In fact, I'm going to start doing a series of videos where we're just going to learn live. And, I have built application study tool before. In fact, Mike Wachter, who is going to join us to answer questions and any nuances or any roadmap he wants to share as well, and Jason Epstein as well will join me to walk through the Grafana part. But what we're going to work on today, a couple things. We're gonna build HashiCorp Vault so that we can manage secrets for your big IP user credentials. Not everybody wants to throw those in a file and make them available. So we're going to work on that. But I think first we're going to build the AST and we'll get that running as is. And then we'll convert Grafana to TLS. And then once we get that part done, then we'll come back and do credentials. Michael O'Leary, who wrote the article that we're going to follow on DevCentral, he's going to join a little later, and so we'll get into the vault stuff after, so he has time to get, just in case he needs to throw me a lifeline on that, because I have built most of the things that I've built are in my local lab. Nobody's going to touch them, and so I haven't had a need to really manage secrets in a secret way. I just throw them all out there. It's all my let me in 00 bang. That's my my go-to lab password, and super safe. And I'm sure that's not in anybody's rainbow tables or anything. But we can go ahead and get started on let me share this out. So, all right. So this is what we're going to build first, and this is building out AST as is. In fact, if we go to if we go to Michael O'Leary's article here, the first thing we're going to do is just get it built with defaults. And so there are some prerequisites here that we have a HashiCorp Vault server running and accessible with a secret called Big IP Password 1 at secrets Big IP Password 1 config, an app role with access to this secret. Role ID and secret ID values will be expected in files. Okay. I don't know what this means, so we'll have to look at that part. But Docker Engine and Docker Compose, we have that. I do have a HashiCorp Vault running, which incidentally, if you haven't played with MCP is awesome. I have a Claude from Anthropic running, and yesterday I just said, hey, with the Docker tool, can you build me a Vault container? And it just did it, and tested that I have working secrets in that. And so I didn't really have to go out and learn about Vault yet, which is kind of a shift for me, because historically, like even when Big IP came out, it's like just deploy a default TCP profile. And I was like, early career network engineer. It's like, well, I don't really know a whole lot about layer 4 and up. It was layer 3 and down was all my expertise. And so it's like, well, what is Nagel's algorithm do, and what are you talking about congestion control algorithms? And so early career, I really wanted to know all the things. I wanted to know all the nerd knobs and dig in those, and I still want to know those things. But as this industry is exploding, there's so many things to know. You can't know them all, and I've learned that you can be a king of one thing or a jack of many, and there's a very small percentage of the population who can be a king of all. And I am not in that percentage, but so you have to pick and choose the things you learn. And so with MCP, it's kind of awesome. You can deploy tools. If you think of a handyman knows how to do a lot of things in your house. But if you don't give him a hammer and a screw gun and saws and wiring crimpers and all that, he's really not that useful. And the large language models are kind of the same thing. They're smart. They know a lot of things, but they can't do a lot of things. In fact, I don't think they can really do anything except give you information. But if you give them tools, then they become pretty powerful. like a handyman. And so anyway, I say all that to say MCP is awesome. Built Vault. Now we can get going. So we can come back here, and the first thing I have to do is I have to clone the repo, and then once it's done, I get in that directory. So I'm going to flip over and do those things. Let me see, remove, then add, and so in here, why is that on screen? Maybe because I'm sharing the screen. Anyway, on my other machine here. So if I'm going to clone that repo, I can grab that. Let me see where I am. Oh, actually, I need to not be in that system. CD. Then I had a projects. We'll just go here. All right. CD. All right. So we're in there. And then it wants me to copy .env example to .env. And let me come over here. All right. And so now that I have that, it wants me also to copy the secrets file. And this is where it's talking like, a lot of people probably don't want to just have a secrets for their big IP password in a clear text file on their system. And so we will copy that out. And then it wants me to VI that. AST defaults.yaml. So in this file, we want to edit the config with the device and configure configuration devices to scrape. Okay, so there's my username and password. Below tells the collector to look for an environment variable named big IP password. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to change that. And then let's see. Edit the default settings for your environment as required. I don't know that I need to edit anything in that. And Mike, I'm going to bring you on, and you can tell me while I'm digging through this. Community, this is Mike Walker. He's the product manager for Application Studies Tool. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
All right, and you and I have walked through this before on live stream, but I think that was in the it's been a while. So
yeah. Just really quick to answer your question about the defaults. I think obviously more documentation, the better, and I'm working on that. So right now, by default, we do collect LTM specifically by default. So that means everything else is considered technically an add-on configuration item, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. So right now, okay, so that's where I would change down here to be enabled true.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
So right now, the system I have is just going to be a big IP local. So actually, I don't need to change anything in there.
No.
And then I want to receivers config big IP. All right, and in here, this is where I'm going to put in the actual address of that, right?
Yep, exactly right. So that's going to be the management port address, or at least a self IP that we can gain access to. Yeah. And then same principle applies LTM by default. Everything else is an add-on. And the beauty of that, in theory, is that you could have independent password user ID for 100, if not thousands of big IP instances. You can set up different based off of data center algorithms, right? So what I mean by that, you could have LTM, then you could just set up configurations just for strictly DNS/GTM, or maybe a separate ASM devices, right? So it gives you that flexibility to configure your environment from that standpoint.
Gotcha. All right, so that's good to go. And then, so in these, obviously I probably want to edit these files, right?
Yeah, we do a great job of providing by default, right? So obviously that's not production, what I would use from a production standpoint. So within Grafana itself, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory there. Same principle applies though with faults and secrets and modern applications and deployments that I won't technically keep it in a flat file for editing, but just for getting up in the development world, or maybe you can productize it too, as long as it's secure enough. But yeah.
Yeah. And so here's somewhere where we could also maybe put these credentials in Vault. And
Yep,
pull
exactly
those
right.
up. Okay. And then this is if you want to share your metrics out to the data fabric. How do you get those token and ID? Is that like through your
Yeah,
account
that's
team?
yeah. Let me answer the first two. So by default, Grafana it's admin. It will ask you to change it upon access. So secondary login, it could be different from what you see here. So that's the beauty of that piece. On the data fabric side, meaning you're uploading metrics not just to your on-prem instance of the tool, we're also uploading that to XC Data Fabric, which is distributed cloud data fabric. And the way to access that is contact your account team. Long story short, the account team contacts me, and then I make a record of that. I generate the tokens and the IDs. But after that piece, all the same same metrics will be uploaded to us. And what that does, it provides more of a strategic opportunity for the account team, which is very key because they can help you on performance data, optimization. If you're migrating to something else, a new platform, or you are thinking about going to an FCP, which is all virtual for the most part, or hybrid FCP, yeah, many opportunities to grow.
Okay, cool. I said my like default lab password was let me in 00bang. I think
Yeah, I remember that one.
15.0 or forward, like that wasn't good enough for the password for Big IP. So it's like LTM, let me in 00bang. So anyway, all right, so I'm good to go there. And then now I can just Docker run this bad boy.
So for all the folks that are watching, I highly recommend just taking a Docker 101 course, getting used to more of the modern deployment, because Docker is really fantastic if you want to put a boundary around what you're building. So it's really great.
Yeah, I'm about to convert a lot of my I use PyCharm and for a lot of Python development, and I still build virtual environments and all that on my system. But I'm about to switch to just Dockerizing all of that, so it just all builds out into containers. All right, so Docker Compose up. Let's get this. Get this going. All right.
So what that's going to do, Jason, is really quick. When we did Docker Compose up, that's going to put it into what they call a non disconnect. It's going to be a connected mode, so that you get to see all the bits and bytes of the log files and what it's doing and whatnot. If you wanted to do that without specifically looking at all that, it would be Docker Compose up and then --D for disconnected mode. But either way, you get to see all the logs and all the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to see a good log?
Yeah, right.
And really, as that's going up, like, are your secrets in these logs?
No, the secrets won't be in those logs, where it'll show like, hey, they'll give you a little bit of a warning saying, hey, you're using .env files. It gives you a little bit of a warning, but nothing else beyond that.
Okay. So that is doing its thing. We can see a bunch of stuff spinning up here.
Yep.
Application study tools been up. We see that, so we got Hotel Collector, Grafana, and Prometheus. Are there only 3?
As of what's today, 6/5/2025, yes. However, we have a rather significant roadmap ahead of us. And what that means, and a lot of people don't care about the roadmaps. I get it. They want to see actual results. But there are going to be additional containers going forward that will include additional features and function that just make the tool a lot broader in terms of use cases and whatnot.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so is it still doing things, or is it up and ready to go?
It looks like it's up and ready to go. You can actually, it would error out with an exit code if the Docker component wasn't running. But if you have another window, you can do a command of sorts if you want.
Yep, bring it.
Okay, cool. And that is Docker PS, Docker space PS -A.
All right, so up 2 minutes. All three are up 2 minutes.
Cool. So you should, in theory, be able. So there's two ways of access. One is going directly to Grafana, which is great. The other is going into Prometheus, which is the time series database that stores all the metric data. So you take that a little bit further, right? Is that not only can you upload to our Prometheus, but you can upload through Optel, which is a pretty broadly used piece. Is that it can go to Prometheus, it can go to Thanos, it can go to a bunch of different sources in the back end. But for us, and with this use case and what we're doing today, it goes to Prometheus and then Grafana, and you can log into both of those. So don't think of it as we're trying to hide a metric from you. We're not. You can gather those, display on your own, but it's pretty flexible from that standpoint. So 9,000 is Prometheus, and then 3,000 is Grafana.
Is Prometheus?
This should be on port 9,000. We can go back to your 9090. Sorry.
90?
Yeah.
All right, let me take the SSL off there.
Yep.
That's what we're going to be working on. 9090 is Prometheus, and what is
the? Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jason Epstein's on, so he's correcting me on that one, so I appreciate that. Well,
bring him on stage too.
There we go.
Be a nice crowd. And which one's Grafana? What's the port?
It should be 3,000.
3,000.
Yep.
127.0.0.1. And we got to log in.
You have to use that by default. Admin, right? Everybody has a default password. But the beauty of the tool, right? You can configure that. You can change it when you first install. Do the first install steps.
Okay. Let's see. We'll skip that for now. Thank you, 1Password. Appreciate that.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so we have a working fast. We've been through that before, so we don't need to dig too much into dashboards right now. But now that we have a working system, Jason, now you can help me walk through. And I think I have your. Let's see. Let me bring it up. Displaying dashboards from in your own. Nope, maybe that was a different one. I think I had a different one. What do you have a link for me for the?
Yep. I just put it in our own private chat.
Okay, thank you.
And that's going to be coming out as a blog on DevCentral probably next week.
Okay, I requested access for that one.
Oh.
All right. Let me see. Nope, don't want to do that there. I'll do it somewhere else.
And while you're doing that, Jason, just for anybody that might be listening or gets a chance to review the recording, feedback is important to not only myself, but to the team, F5, but also additional customers, right? Is that what we're finding is that a request will come from a customer and I will broadcast that out to the wider audience, and people raise their hands saying, oh, my customer wanted this, my customer wanted that. So my ask overall is please ensure the feedback is coming directly to the PM team. It's great to have the feedback. We're not shy about adopting, changing, or moving things, or changing direction, if you will, from that aspect. But there are a few hardcore framework pieces that are in place, as you mentioned, OTel, Prometheus, and Grafana for now. But anyways.
So Jason, I gave you a different link to try.
Okay. Nope, that still says awaiting approval.
That's weird.
It's okay if you want to share it. You can present from your side, and then I can add that
one more time. Okay, can you try it again?
Yep, that worked.
Okay, sorry about that.
Let me see, can I do that? Let me bring it over into my other window here. And then reshare. Okay. So let me remove that one. Okay. So in this, we are hop down here. Okay. Oh, we get to do some OpenSSL work. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to copy out that business, and I'll bring this. Go ahead.
This is to create your own self-signed certificate. If you have a CA certificate, for those in the audience, you don't have to go through this.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you like Let's Encrypt or if you want to run your own local CA. Okay, so there's can't open this. It's fine. Are you doing this actually in the? Are you connecting to the container?
No.
Service Grafana.
Oh, can you do a PWD? What directory are you in? Oh, you need to be in the application study tool directory.
Okay.
All right, try it again.
Okay,
there we go.
That worked. And then let me grab the second one. So first we're generating a key. Or the okay, so first one's generating a key, right? What's this?
That's a certificate signing request. The next one.
Okay. I did not copy. Give me a second. Okay. We'll do Missouri. I am in Peculiar. That is my town here in Missouri. We'll do F5 DevCentral. Oh, I guess I could have done that. We'll do DevCentral again. Common name. Does it matter for the self-sign?
No.
I don't think it does.
No, unless you're enforcing domain names, which we're not going to do here. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, we'll do my email and.
But the frustrating part, even if you put in an IP address, you still have that same IP. Browser still warn you, which is frustrating.
All right. Okay. And then copy. Okay. So we got a certificate now. And then we want to change the permissions. .440, that's a root group or like a owner group?
Yeah.
Read, just read only? Yeah, okay.
So if you were to have just a Grafana group, which you probably don't have locally on your Mac, then you could just make it readable only to the Grafana group. But yeah, if you're this way, it's readable to both root and and you.
Okay. So we're going to create in services grafana.ini to create a file. And so let me do EI. All right. And then we want to all right.
And all those settings in the example should work out of the box. If you wanted to enforce your domain, so that, I mean, for instance, you might have a machine listening on multiple domains, then you might want to enforce or ensure that the domain name is correct. But for an installation like this, you don't need to do that.
Okay. And so,
and because the domain is not enforced, then whatever you put here doesn't really matter.
The root URL doesn't matter at all. Okay, so I noticed in your cert key, Etsy Grafana key, but that's not where those actually are, or where we saved them. Is that like from Grafana's standpoint a local reference?
Yes, it'll look like it's there to the container.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or it's within the container.
All right. And then configure ask to point to this. And so this is where we can stop our container or our what's out there currently, because we don't need all that running.
Yeah, you can just do a Docker compose down or stop it. But
you also have to modify the Docker compose file.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll kill that, and then we'll come back over here. All right. So first we edited that file, and then, all right, now you'll need to mount this directory within the Docker compose file. So edit the Grafana section. So that is the, okay, so VI. All right, so okay, so here, the image we're not changing, container name, volumes. Okay. So in volumes we have varlib Grafana. And so what?
So we're just mounting it a directory higher up. So by default, it's a little bit more restrictive because the only thing that needs to be mounted is in provisioning. But because we put the certain key in the /services/Grafana directory, we need to make it a little bit more basically open. But so you can just remove provisioning from both the mount and the reference.
Okay. And then Etsy Grafana. Okay.
And that should be it.
And then boom. And then if we go back to Docker Compose, where'd my Docker Compose go? Oh, we'll just type it out. And then back over here on our containers, we see that we're back up. So now we'll be at SSL on port 3000.
Yes.
So if we go here, it should say.
So so this is HTTPS. So this is what I expect. So this shows that it's no longer working on HTTP. And now you get this warning, which when it's a self-signed certificate, you expect.
Nice.
And there it is on
Bam.
HTTPS.
That was fairly easy, man. So now we have security there. So but Prometheus is still in the clear, is that right? So next step is to secure Prometheus too, right? So
or you can just make that inaccessible because I like to be able to get to Prometheus for debugging stuff, but for general use, you usually wouldn't need to go to this.
Yeah. And Prometheus is so Prometheus is where all the data is, right? And then Grafana is rendering all that data in pretty graphs, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So just imagine Grafana. I mean, Grafana is the most widely used, one of the most widely used tools out there. So it's just the visualization part. So it'll take, we have to do some specialized queries that make Grafana happy to present that set data. But if you had any other visualization tool at your disposal, you can just look at the queries that were pre-built, number one, or number two, you can create your own. But essentially, as I will have to create a nickname for JR and JE here, but for JE, as you mentioned before, that all the metrics are there. If you want to utilize it for development purposes, troubleshooting, whatever, you can open it up and take a look at some of the data that we're gathering. But all metrics are stored within that time series database. Now, just add on to, just so everyone gets a little bit of color on the background. By default, we didn't enable any sort of size limits or any restrictions from that standpoint. What we did, though, is say, and some people might say it's crazy, but we left it this way because it's customizable. The retention period is set to 1 year by default. So think of it as if you had storage, say 500 gigs or a terabyte, you can literally change the configuration file within that Docker Compose and say, let's set the storage limit to 500 gigs or set the limit to a terabyte, or even, move up the expiration date time period to 6 months to 3 months, 2 months, whatever. But by default, it's 1 year. We don't put any restrictions because, again, it's totally customizable. So as you start moving forward with the tool, potentially developing on it, just kind of be aware that that's the default and modify it to your heart's content.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, that part's done. Now we can move on to let me go back to, we got that built, and now we can move on to actually building out. And feel free whenever you guys need to drop off. Jason, I know that we handled your. Oh, I wanted to give you the floor real quick to just kind of tease what you're doing otherwise than just enabling SSL. You did another thing. In fact, that's what I was starting to share about one of the other things that you got. Bringing application study tool into your own Grafana board. You have an article on that, but also something else you're working on that will be hitting the DevCentral community pretty soon. And what's that?
Yeah, so the first thing you mentioned, so some organizations have their own Grafana dashboard that they've built out with metrics not even related to F5 or Big IP, and they want to use this one pane of glass for everything. So you can plug that into the application study tool Prometheus instance so that from your big Grafana dashboard where you have everything, you can also have dashboards for the application study tool. And there's a blog article published several weeks ago on DevCentral about doing that. Then the other thing you're talking about is running the application study tool. So right now it works under Docker Compose, standalone containers, but organized by Docker Compose. And I'm porting that into Kubernetes. So right now I have it working on AKS, Azure Kubernetes Services, and just got it working on OpenShift. And so at some point we're going to publish that so that customers can leverage these assets and run it in their own Kubernetes distribution.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I look forward to working through that as well. And so appreciate all the work you're doing on the backside to enable more options for the application study tool for customers, and appreciate that. So feel free to hang out. I'm gonna bring back up my documentation for Michael O'Leary's article on using Vault for secrets, and so we'll get into that now for those of you who joined for the secret side of things. And as I said in the description and at the top of the show, I don't do a whole lot with secrets management because I haven't needed to outside of my own lab experiences, but I do have some apps I want to deploy into a world accessible manner. And so, this gives me an opportunity to just start to play and learn with with managing secrets in an environment. And I did a little bit of that when I was studying for my CKA within the Kubernetes environments, but I haven't done it personally for my own projects. And so we're going to do that. There was a question here, a secret called Big IP password. So we do need to create that. And so let me look at that real quick for creating. All right. So I want to create a secret. And I think I'm not sharing my other screen.
Wait,
so let me
before you do that, Jason, do you have HashiCorp Vault running?
I do.
Okay, perfect. Sweet.
Yeah, in fact, we can go look at that. And again, I'm brand new to using Vault. So let me pull this off. Let me come over here. And I'll come back to my Claude script here when it helped me set things up. And so I can get my secrets here, the ones that it's set up by default. And so it's set up its own app there. And so I have a working thing there. He says I need to have it in secrets, big IP password 1 config. And so a secret called at that location. So if I then want to vault kv put, that what Claude, yep, okay. And he said we want secret big IP password 1 config. And then we actually want to call that a big IP password 1 equals, and that would be mine, right?
Yep, if they want to use that at least. Yep.
Okay. So if I do a vault kv get secret big IP password 1, we see that I have that key and value in there. Okay. So I don't know what he means by an app role with access to the secret. Role ID and secret ID values will be expected in files. You know what he's talking about?
Yeah, there's different roles within HashiCorp that have access to, think of it as almost like RBAC, if you will, if that makes any sense. So think of it as there's an app role, there's a bunch of other individualized roles that you can set up that have access to certain values.
Okay, so let's see. So if he goes down here to community, I purposely did nothing to prepare for this because sometimes paralysis keeps people from doing things, and so you get into things that are new, and so you just don't try because it's scary and hard and all that. And at the end of the day, you work your way through it. It's like, yeah, that wasn't so bad. So I wanted to come in here without having touched Vault really, other than I set up a Vault server last night beforehand, just so that was out of the way. But I'm a newbie in using HashiCorp Vault, so just want to preface that the reason that this is done this way is just to we can all spoon feed ourselves together to learn, and baby steps into new stuff that you haven't played with. Okay, so he's got the Vault. I'm going to go forward a little bit just to understand.
I'm gonna go to the DevCentral article too, because to your point, I read it a couple times, but I did not actually go through the instructions on it.
Yeah. So I have a Vault running, but config files for Vault agents. So he's going, okay. Create the Vault agent template to pull that. Okay, so maybe we'll just back up and try to do this right from the top. We got that installed. Once you have configured setting for device defaults, you'll configure device secrets. We did that. Validate asked with, we did that. Okay, so here, install Vault agent on the Docker host. So I have that. So I need to make a directory. We'll just skip right back to that. Make dir. Am I sharing that? Okay. -p vault secrets. That is a read-only system. All right. So where is where are you, O'Leary? All right. So I guess that doesn't have to mount there. Now let's edit. Wonder if he's on a Linux system there, because that's apt install. That's Ubuntu.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Ubuntu.
So let me see. Well, let's just ask Claude, since Claude was helping me out here. Let me go to a new chat. And I need to create a temp fs volume to mount secrets for Vault. Vault on my Mac. Can you show me how? Okay.
Does mount even exist on the Mac?
Yep. Yeah, you can mount drives. I just
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I meant like by default. I don't know if it's enabled. I haven't put it up the Mac yet. Usually I'm on Ubuntu, but
okay, so let me try to do a temp mount. Oh, wait, hold on. And then mount. The disk number it created for me was what? Dev artist 2. Okay. So sudo mount -t hfs dev rdisk 2. Or is it just disk 2? Temp vault. Resource busy. Let me try rdisk. That is not working. Okay, we can punt on that. Well, I don't have Docker running. I wonder, because Docker's not running on Ubuntu. Sebastian, help!
I was gonna say you could create a what do you call it? A temporary RAM disk, right? If you wanted to do that, because I don't think Macs. It's been a while, but they don't have access, or they don't use Etsy F-Step, I believe.
Yeah.
But
yeah, give me a second here.
I should bring up my Mac while you do that, just for funs and giggles.
Yeah. So Sebastian, what we're doing is I'm following an article. Let me go back to the article. And I think it's Ubuntu based, not Mac based. So and that's probably my first mistake, is trying to do it all on Mac instead of in Ubuntu, because I didn't look into the details of Michael O'Leary's article on using HashiCorp Vault with application study tool. And so the details looks like Ubuntu specific. And it says, Vault supports major Linux distributions. And I do have a Vault client running on my Mac, but creating the Vault volume to store the secrets for the config files for Vault Agent, I don't have that. That's where we're stuck. And so that's what I'm trying to do, but I have not done that yet. And so I don't have Docker running on Ubuntu. I could probably build that and start over, but application study tool is not built on there, so might have to punt and do that in another session. But in fact, we're getting close to time here anyway, so I'm not sure if we're actually going to have success today, which is fine. And what I will do is I will keep hitting on this, and I'll schedule another session. We'll come back to this and do it from the top, straight with Vault. And so I'll get a Ubuntu for sure, Sebastian. I'll get with you, see when your schedule is going, and we can come on here. But we'll get Vault running with. In fact, I'd like to do it two ways. I'd like to do it with straight with Docker secrets, and then also with Vault secrets, and then that way we can document how it works, not just on Ubuntu like O'Leary has here, but also we'll get it working on Mac as well. So that will effectively ends our session today. I wish we would have gotten the Vault working, but we'll get it. We'll come back to it next time. And we do have Grafana running in SSL. We've got application study tool running. In fact, I don't know if we have any data in our dashboards yet, but I don't really have anything running on my I don't have anything running on my big IP anyway, so I don't know. Let me see. Go to dashboards. And yeah, I don't know if I have any device, because I don't have any traffic running through it right now. So maybe I would just have.
You don't have a super secret lab that you're running all the internet on?
Yeah, I do have. I just don't have anything running on that particular one I connected it to. But there should be. I don't know where's like CPU. Which dashboard is that in?
You can find it in two ways. One, we do the application view, so that's by virtual server, and then the device detail view, which should be in the topmost dashboard.
No data at all. Okay. Well, I'll look at that for next time. We'll now that we've done it, we've gotten it done. I'll have one running. Oh, hey, there we go. Michael Leary, thank you. So, Michael, what we're trying to get doing is like it looks like you built it on Ubuntu, and I'm trying to get it running on Mac, and I can't get past this step in here, and so we're gonna punt for today, and then come back and try again. And so I'll try and work through I'll try and figure out how to get this part set up on Mac, and then we can continue on through the rest of it on next session. So not a problem, Michael, at all. I know that all of us have day jobs, right? So not a problem. But what we'll do is we'll come back in another session. I'll get it scheduled. I'm out of town next week, but maybe the week after I'll get it set up again. We'll work through getting Docker secrets running and HashiCorp vault secrets running in a Mac, but I'll also have Ubuntu set up with Docker and Ast running as well, so that we can vet it both ways and document it both ways, so that we're good to go. But with that, I think we can go ahead and sign off. And not all sessions end in success. That is the whole point of this new series that we're doing, is that we're going to learn and lab live. And so with that, sometimes we'll have success and sometimes we will not, and that's okay. And so I think that's today's show. Thank you for joining, and we will see you out there in the community, and I'll get the follow-up to this session set up real soon. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mike, for joining.
Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.